Gentlemen, have you seen Miss Babanian?
I'm afraid...
Can't have been that important then.
You're just full of questions, or... Where did you get that?
It was found in a vent at the museum. Perhaps the very last thing I expected to find.
Yes. Well, thank you. I knew I had lost it somewhere.
A clearly valuable ring has just been returned to Madame, and she acts as though it means nothing to her.
And I would not describe throwing a ring at one's husband resulting in it being stuck in a vent as a case of losing it.
It is clear Madame Hélène felt no sickness at the gala, rather anger. In a moment of rage, she threw her ring at her husband before exiting the museum, and having seen the damage that she has caused in her own dressing room, one can conclude that it was the state of her marriage that allowed her emotions to get the better of her and act so rashly.
You have been most helpful.
The detective inspector will now be able to see as plain as day that Mademoiselle Court Smythe is the guilty party. Now to find him.
With the other remaining guests' movements all accounted for, she was the only one capable of making haste with the painting.
Ah, Detective, you're here.
Look and you shall find. How may I be of assistance?
Oh, well, I've had the photographs from the gala developed.
That's good thinking, Miss Farquhar.
Oui, very kind, mademoiselle. Huh. There is nothing left for us to do but to take our findings to Detective Inspector Hardwick.
Do you think he'll listen?
It is his duty as a high-ranking officer of the law. We shall not be ignored. We have done all but arrest Mademoiselle Court Smythe for him. If it is the accolade that he desires, he may have it.
I was thinking that while you were speaking with Miss Court Smythe, I could try and find Mr. Christensen at their home.
It would certainly be more efficient.
Him with a funny accent. He was here earlier asking the same questions. All I want is a bit of peace.
I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience.
Monsieur Hastings, your assistance is required immediately.
Good Lord, Poirot, that's a lot of smoke.
And now you are up to speed with the situation. I have evaluated the position we find.
If you're going to use the fire extinguisher, now would be the time.
Très bien.
That's it. One more should do it.
Detective Inspector, it is imperative we search the crime scene as soon as possible.
You mean my crime scene?
If I may, I can count on one hand how many crime scenes I have seen in my life, and although they are somewhere I don't wish to spend too much time, as the representative of Lloyd's of London Bank, it is my responsibility to handle all matters regarding the now stolen painting.
A weak attempt, but I've got more on my plate than dealing with some paper pusher getting his knickers in a twist. You've got until I return to do whatever it is you need to do.
You may question my authority in this case, but I will not have my professionalism questioned.
Whatever you say.
Huh. Aha. Huh. Ah. Oh. Ah. Hmm. Aha. Oh. Oh. Ah. Oh. Huh.
From analyzing the victim's body, I can conclude that the cause of death was not dead by the flames.
Not by the flames? Then what?
That is what we are yet to determine.
Aha. Huh. Oh. Ah. Aha. Aha.
Hot on the culprits. The evidence suggests something. The answer was staring me in.
Didn't you speak with her neighbor before? Might she be able to help?
Is it that copper again? What do you want?
I was hoping to ask you some questions regarding the fire. May I ask your name?
You aren't coming in. You can get that into your head now. Mrs. Colsham. Camilla Colsham.
Merci, Madame Colsham.
She hardly had any visitors, but yesterday it was like she had a sign up offering out free ale.
If you would be so kind as to talk us through the events as you remember them.
Well, I saw her leaving with a couple of paintings under her arm. You've seen her work? Not really my cup of tea. Then there was that posh-looking chap. I heard him before I saw him. Like an elephant on those stairs. Next came the professional-looking fella. He's got some money in those pockets, that's for sure. I saw him leaving with a painting, too. Oh, and the argument with another man? I couldn't hear what it was all about, but he had a set of lungs on him.
You are doing a wonderful job, Madame Colsham.
You can keep the patronizing tone to yourself. She must have turned her radio up to disguise what they were saying, but I tell you this, I'd rather have listened to them than that racket. It wasn't long before he was storming down the stairs. I don't think he'd heard the expression light-footed before.
Would you be able to remember any other details of the gentleman?
Through this people, you can barely tell who's man and woman. I didn't hear her leave, but when I heard that door downstairs slam, I knew it was her. I opened my door and gave her what for. And you know what she did? She waved me off, bottle of bubbles in hand, ranting about being dry. She looked 2 sheets to the wind, if you ask me. Only after did she turn the radio down. I wasn't going to waste the peace and quiet, and I got ready for bed. I was getting right into the exciting bit of my book. Perkins' first one, you know. I do like Perkins. Well, that's when I first smelt the smoke coming from the hall. And then you lot showed up.
Merci, Madame. You have been most accommodating.
Oh, and I found this in the garden. It's obviously hers. I was going to put it through her letterbox, but, well, you know.
The cork from a champagne bottle. It would not be a giant leap to assume this came from Mademoiselle Courtsmith's apartment. A smell lingers on the cork. Bitter almonds.
Merci,
I should not be surprised by my own.
Monsieur Hastings, your assistance is required.
Of course. What do you need? What can I do for you?
From analyzing the victim's body, I can conclude that the cause of death was not dead by the flames.
Not by the flames. Then what?
That is what we are yet to determine.
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius. That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn. That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn.
Let us get back to the scene.
I cannot see the logic in this. Is there something? I must take a different... The pieces of the puzzle are finally... What a revelation!
Oh.
From analyzing the victims, but
Not by the flames.
that is what we are.
Huh. Huh.
What do you need? Almonds? I've never had champagne that tasted of almonds.
One would hope not. Mademoiselle's lips may hold the missing clue we require.
Of course, the painting. Irene had made forgeries of the Penitent Magdalene painting and was likely selling them for a pretty penny, I might add. It wasn't an accident. It was set on purpose, using turpentine to douse any evidence of them being there, and the forgery.
An almost perfect execution, had we not arrived in time before the evidence had burned away.
But why try and get rid of the necklace?
Spoken like a true detective.
What can I do for you?
Let us get back to the scene.
Where is the sense in... Some would say a lucky guess. I would say a moment of genius.
What do you need? I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Take your time. Consider what we have seen and learnt of Mademoiselle Courtsmith's time here yesterday.
Okay, firstly, we know that she had a number of visitors and an argument with one of them. Among these visitors, one left with a painting, perhaps another forgery.
Très bien.
Irene wasn't drinking alone, and whoever she was drinking with likely poisoned her. The killer used a syringe to inject a liquid form of the poison through the cork and into the bottle.
Potassium cyanide. Traces of the compound can be found in nature, but dangerous levels, such as those present, can be detected by its notable almond smell.
And she fell victim shortly after in her chair. What are you going to tell him?
The truth. He may hope for a simple and somewhat convenient version of events, but he cannot ignore the facts that we shall present.
My crime scene's still intact.
Of course, Detective Inspector. There is something that...
There's nothing more to say.
Pardon, Detective Inspector. The truth is that Mademoiselle Irene Court Smythe was murdered.
Right you are. I'll be sure to make a note.
But you won't.
Excuse me? Are you forgetting who you're talking to?
He is well aware of your authority and your capability of coming to the same conclusion. We only wish to inform you of our findings.
Well, my men have been in, as have I, and I've concluded that the mademoiselle, as you so elegantly called her, made off with the painting and decided to have a few drinks to celebrate. She passed out drunk in the chair, candle still lit, and the place went up like a match.
Detective Inspector, s'il vous plaît. It is really not that simple.
Who are you calling simple?
He's not calling you simple, he's saying that isn't how it happened. How can you ignore the bottle of champagne that had been tampered with? The smell of poison on the cork.
You're both experts in poison.
I do not wish to stand here and argue credentials. Mademoiselle Court Smythe was killed, not by the fire that burned through her home, but at the hands of another. Her drink, laced with potassium cyanide.
Quite the imagination you two have.
Look, we can show.
No. We shall leave the Detective Inspector to discover the truth for himself. Detective, adieu. Monsieur Hastings, you must learn which battles are worth the fight. Besides, we have no time to stand squabbling with him. We have a murder to solve.
That was quite a night. I feel exhilarated, yet exhausted. Triumphant at what we have discovered, but mournful for Miss Court Smythe.
It is being able to control those emotions and still see the bigger picture that separates the best detectives from those that merely like the thought of such responsibility.
So do you think it must have been one of the guests at the gala?
An accomplice disguised as a guest turned murderer. A master criminal they may appear to be, but they have never crossed paths with Belgium's greatest detective.
I think I just felt a chill.
Now we must speak with the guests of the gala again, as well as find Monsieur Christiansen, who has continued to evade my questions. I have no doubt one or more of them will hold the answers we require regarding the death of Mademoiselle Court Smythe. Monsieur Hastings, your assistant...
Of course. What do you need?
Merci, Monsieur Hastings. Mademoiselle, do you have a moment to spare?
Of course, Detective. I'm hoping you have some good news for me. Goodness. You've found the painting, haven't you?
A painting was recovered. A forgery, but it was damaged by the fire.
What on earth are you talking about? Forgery? Fire?
It ran rampant through Mademoiselle Courtsmythe's apartment.
She's dead. She would never be so. But with all of those flammable paints and... No!
Mademoiselle Warbeck appears quite distraught at the news. Perhaps I should have considered the nature in which it was delivered.
I respected her as an artist and a friend.
I do not wish to push Mademoiselle Warbeck too far while in such a state. But as a friend, I must know if she was aware of Mademoiselle Courtsmythe's plan.
Perhaps, as a friend, she let slip of her plans.
Her plan for what? Stealing the painting? Making a forgery? Do you really think I'd let her do that?
She must have had help from someone she trusted.
If she did, it wasn't me she confided in. I've been here trying to calm down the trustees.
You did not leave the museum?
I was here until the early hours. After the meeting, I wrote a letter to my father. I wanted his advice on what to do. It's just all so... Excuse me, gentlemen. I must go and make a phone call to an artist. I shan't be long.
Merci, mademoiselle. That is all for now. Monsieur Aylesworth.
Ah, a detective that actually seems to be doing something to find my painting. What can I do for you? Quite well, thank you.
The infirmary discharged you already?
With a clean bill of health. I didn't want to wait around using up valuable resources.
An honorable gesture.
I was straight off to the House of Commons. I take it you haven't read today's newspaper?
I'm afraid I have had more pressing matters.
It certainly makes for an interesting read.
I was not aware reporters were permitted inside the house.
They aren't. I left and went to the London Illustrated News office. I gave my statement there. I can't for the life of me remember the chap's name. Rather pleasant, though. Anyway, you're a busy man. I'd hate to take up too much of your time.
It does not take a great detective to pick up on Monsieur Aylesworth's ever so subtle hint.
Is this about the insurance claim? It was merely a necessary precaution. I'm sure with you on the case, it won't be long before it's returned.
I do not doubt my abilities to return the painting, but I question why he felt it necessary to talk of sensitive details regarding the investigation to a national news outlet. It would not surprise me to learn of him using his loss for cynical gain.
I assume you saw the article in the paper?
Oui, monsieur. A fantastic opportunity for you to express your political opinions.
Oh, the people must know what I stand for. I'm here for them.
I will not take up any more of your time.
Bartholomew! Here, puss. Where are you? Bartholomew! Enough now! Out you come! I'm sorry, I just don't have time to talk now. I have to find Bartholomew.
Have you placed a missing persons report?
Really, Detective? Bartholomew is the church cat. I think a missing persons report might be a little overboard.
I am sure with our assistance we shall find him in half the time. And then, perhaps you will have time to answer my questions.
Fine. All that matters now is that we find him. His name is Bartholomew, and I'd appreciate it if you spoke of him as such.
Pardon. When did you last see Bartholomew?
Better. Well, you see, the poor creature took an interest in my easel. He leapt up, knocking over some of my supplies, and gave himself a fright. He bolted out of sight, and I've not seen him since.
Merci.
Ah. Huh. Oh. Oh. Aha.
Come now. This will not get me. I should consider this. Things are beginning to become.
What do you need? What can I do for you? That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn.
I question whether the bishop's version of events is accurate. Perhaps he threw the glass jar at Bartholomew because he was on the altar.
I know that's how it looks, but I can't imagine someone being so cruel. What tells us where the cat ran to next? Poirot, you are a genius. How can we know where the cat ran to next? Poirot, you are a genius.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Huh.
What do you need? can I do for you?
Merci, Monsieur Hastings.
I didn't think I could make it, Yes, Thomas, one of my parishioners, would usually have sorted that for me. But he decided this weekend, of all weekends, was the best time to holiday to Margate.
Well, did you say the glass was broken?
The easel. I was painting, and Bartholomew was obviously in a boisterous mood and knocked over the water jar.
Merci.
Magnifique. Come, my little grape. Something just... Order and method. Voila. Logical thinking shall always... I must act on thought. I should consider this something just... One step closer to revealing...
What do you need? What can I do for you?
Merci, Monsieur Hastings.
I didn't think I could make...
Merci.
I didn't.
Merci.
What do you need? What can I do for you?
Merci, monsieur.
Gentlemen, what can I do for you?
I was hoping to speak with Mademoiselle Farquhar.
I'm afraid she already has her hands full with the story. Unless you've come with a bigger one than what she's working on. Perhaps another time, gentlemen, Perhaps another time, gentlemen, Perhaps another time, gentlemen.
I will not take up any more of your time.